All right, there we are live again. Got my cat sitting here, and hopefully everybody else is having a good time as well. Uh, as you may have noticed there in the thumbnail, I'm going to talk about a pan with a big hole in it. Sedan Carver posted that on my Facebook, the members' Facebook page, asking, what was the deal with this big hole in this pan. And let me get my pictures all lined up here. I'll show you if you haven't seen it already. I will show you as soon as I get this here going. Let me embiggen that. And come back over here, get these here set up to show you. And I'll show you what we're talking about. Share the screen. Let's see, select window. There we go. It's a pan with a great big hole in the bottom. Why does it have a hole in the bottom? He wasn't sure exactly why, so he asked. And actually, he kind of answered his own question because he mentioned he thought, it could be a clock or a mirror or something like that. And I'm 99% sure that this was made deliberately with a hole in it like that because it was meant to be a clock. Now, there's several other different clocks that have been made over the years deliberately. A lot of people have made homemade ones too. And I would probably make one myself if I ever come across a pan that's either hopelessly broken that I couldn't fix or come across something that's otherwise nice, both contaminated with lead or something like that. It's fairly easy. As you can see, it's got this dimpled rim around the outside and this kind of machined step in the bottom. This would be the bottom of the skillet. And got that machined step in there. And that's where the bezel of a clock would sit in. There's a shot of the handle. This is more than just hammered. These are actually, they look like drill dimples in the pattern. I'm not sure who made this or when. So, I can't really tell you too much about it as a piece, but like I said, I'm pretty sure it's a clock. There's the inside of it. You can see that was never machined or milled. It was left pretty rough because that would probably never show anyway. It'd just be the face of this and the face of the clock that would show. And, oops, I'll stop that for the moment here and stop screening. There we go. And we'll get back to that in a little bit. I'm going to say hi to everybody here first. Go back here a little bit. Back. All the way back to the start, maybe more or less. 6 drops. Saw her flicking by. Always good to see 6 drops. It's a good day when she shows up. Cast Iron Restore, Cynthia Wesley. Good to see you. Billy Lee. There's me. Raymond, nice to see you. It seems like it's kind of a sacrilege to cut a hole in the bottom of a pan. I'm pretty sure this one was deliberately made that way for the clock. I mean, it could be something else. It could be, for like a picture frame or a mirror or something like that. But I'm guessing it was a clock. Cynthia Wesley here. Fuzz Fork and Raymond, good to see you. Melanie Matson, good to see you. Missed the last couple of weeks, but she's here today. That's a very good thing. Debbie, how's Debbie doing? Still scared about getting her biopsy? Well, just relax. Try not to think about it. But of course, telling you not to think about it is like telling you not to think about an elephant. So you'll just think about it all the more. Corey Clark, good to see you. Fuzz Fork, zipping along here. Doctor wants you to remove your parathyroid. Another says take the spill for a year. Yeah, it can be a pain getting thyroid problems sorted out. cast iron toilet seat. Yeah, it'd be a bit chilly in the middle of winter, Sex. Corey Clark, everybody saying hi to everybody else here quick. Honey Badger, nice to see you. Rick Green, hello from Michigan. Hello back to you from Wisconsin. Tessa Reed, nice to see you. RT Scott, expecting storms tonight. Yeah, it's been raining here again today, but no real storms today. It's been raining pretty constantly for the past month or so. I think we only got like 5 or 6 days in June that it didn't rain. Hog Wild cast iron restoration, almost caught up here. Outhouse skillet. Yeah, I love that pan hammer. Let's see. Inverted hobnail dimples. Yeah. Yeah, it's something like that. It kind of looked like it was, drilled into the pattern. I'm so sad it was cut. But I'm pretty sure it was made that way. I'll show you a little bit here. Yeah, it looks like the clock movement is missing. Let's see. I think I got Eric Stambaugh. I think I got just about everybody said hi to. Melanie, or Mary, rather. Let's see here. Question from Mud concerning Griswold skillets. The large logo pans, did the ones come? Wait a minute here. Kind of skipped ahead on me here. Did the ones with the heat rings come out in 1920, 1930, and the smooth bottom large logos in 1930, 39? I think the smooth bottoms came out around 1920 or so, pretty much the same time. The heat ring was a holdover from earlier designs, and they kept the heat ring right up until they made the small logo skillets in starting around 1940-ish. But all the skillets number 12 and bigger had a heat ring on them, whether they were large logo, small logo, right up to the end. All the big skillets had a heat ring. The smooth bottom and the heat ring pretty much started at the same time. The heat ringed ones are less common than the smooth bottom ones because they're kind of getting away from it by then, because more people are going with gas stoves and later on to electric stoves. So they didn't really need the heat ring, but there's still quite a few people cooking on wood stoves in those days. So they kept it up until they started the small logo. And like I said, there's a few sizes. I think like a number 5 with a heat ring is pretty rare, but generally they're not super rare. So, don't go paying 2 or 3 times as much for a number 8 with a heat ring than you would for a number 8 that doesn't have one. Half again as much seems to be a pretty common markup on them. So where you might pay 75, 80, somewhere around there for a number 8. Smooth bottomed one, maybe 100, 110 for one with a heat ring would be reasonable. You start getting a whole lot more than that for a markup on them. It's they're kind of ripping you off. Looks like a combination that someone cut the center out. Yeah, I'll show them again here. As soon as I get caught back up after pausing for that. Oh, and made a video this weekend, a cooking video, and I still have to edit it. Should have it up by this weekend, hopefully, and do a little premiere on it. I'll give you a little hint of what it's about. I'm pretty sure I didn't actually tell anybody on the internets here what it's all about, but it involves a waffle iron, but it's got nothing to do with waffles. So, be looking forward to that. The whole may work like the show Romper Room. If you look through it, you may see us watching. Yeah, there might be somebody staring back through that. Yeah, and I'll run through these pictures again here quick. Let's see. I'll get that one queued up and present, share screen. And let's see here. That one. There we go. This is what it looked like. This was like I said, this was Sedan Carver sent this in. I the Facebook page. He was wondering what it was. And like I say, I'm pretty sure this was made, deliberately made for a cast iron clock. You can see that rim there, that kind of step down, looks like it's machined. It's not just a hole cut in the bottom of a pan. It was deliberately made that way. And there you can see the little dimples all the way around the edge. A little closer view of them. And let's see, there's the handle. And there you can see some of the dimples in the pan itself. Like I said before, I don't know who made it or exactly when. It's probably older anyway, 30s, 20s. I wouldn't think it'd be, much newer than the 50s, but I could be wrong. Like I say, I'm not exactly sure of the maker or the date on it. But there are, let's see, I gotta bring myself back around. Oops, back around. There are other skillets that have been made deliberately for clocks. This is the back of one. You can see that's a wind-up mechanical movement. You can see there's a couple of screws in the back and a ring to help hold the back in. And the front of that is an Erie skillet clock. Erie up to time. We sell Erie hollowware. And you see the bezel around the face of the clock. That would sit in that step, and then the screws from the back would kind of pinch it together and hold the whole thing together. Now this one, I'm not sure. I found a few of them around, a few pictures of them anyway, and a lot of them seem to have this kind of goldish tone. I don't know if this is original finish or if it's been touched up. And I also found another one. Oops, I gotta go the other way. Also found another one where you see it's painted black with white lettering. I'm not sure if both of those are, were both variations from the time, or if they're both, original, or if they've just both been repainted. I've seen some where where it had that gold tone to it, but it looked a lot older, so that gold one might have been touched up at some point. I'm not really sure exactly, but these are pretty rare, and I guess that gold one sold for around $5,000, according to the where I found the picture at. But you see, that's a mechanical wind-up clock, and if the clock was out of there, you would see, you can see there's a little bit of a rim around there where it's kind of raised. That would more than likely have the same sort of step that other skillet had. The other one that you see is, this is the back of it, made from original pattern of old iron skillet, and that's got a battery, new battery movement that's been replaced. You see this notch down here? That was to allow a cord through there. Originally that had a corded electric clock movement in it, but that is, I gotta go all the way through all these again. That is a Foundry of the Shoals skillet clock. And Foundry of the Shoals, this is actually the thumbnail from a Stephen Strawn video, and I pinned that up at the top there, so if you want to go watch that later on, you can. Foundry of the Shoals was part of Martin Stove and Range. They actually had a couple of foundries. The Martin Stove and Range foundry, as far as I know, made primarily stoves and ranges, and the Martin cookware. Where the Foundry of the Shoals, they did more industrial castings. They made a cast iron frog clock. It's kind of cool. I should have grabbed a picture of that. Didn't think to. You see bookends, knickknacks, and they did a lot of industrial castings there too. So, like I said, this one here originally had an electric movement in it, a corded electric plug-in clock movement. But you can replace them with the battery-powered quartz ones, and or if you can find an electric one, you replace it with that if you didn't have if it wasn't working. But this one here, you just need a simple hole through the middle of the pan to make the clock out of it. And if you got a cheap little quartz battery powered movement, that's all you need to do to make a skillet into a clock. Like I said, I wouldn't do it on one that was in any way usable. But if I come across one that's can't be actually repaired, but could be made to look like it was intact, or something that was contaminated with lead, yeah, I'd had considered making a clock out of one. But as for I drew a name on his blank, Sedan Carver. I'm pretty sure that he got himself he's got himself an old clock there. And there's a few other ones you see floating around. Like I say, there's ones that have been made recently out of different brands of skillets. So yeah, you see them out there. That Erie clock is pretty cool. Like I said, that that gold one in the picture, I think that sold for like $5,000. So or 5,200 more or less. So they're pretty scarce. You're not likely to find one in a junk shop anywhere cheap. I think Grandma had a clock like that in the thumbnail. Yeah, they're out there. I mean, those aren't real common either, but they're a lot less expensive and a good bit more common apparently. And like I said, I posted the link there to Stephen Strawn's video. He goes a little more into the history of Foundry of the Shoals. Let me close that file so it isn't quite so bright and it looks so pale and sickly looking with all that screaming white light coming at me. Let's see here. That'd be a really cool thimble cover for where your stovepipe goes in the walls. Yeah, it would. I mean, that'd be pretty neat. Cynthia just says she's feeding her husband to the wildlife. She might be. You got to keep an eye on Cynthia because there's a lot of gators down there in her neck of the woods. Might go out in the swamp and never be seen again. Anyway, let's see here. Get caught back up on the. What's the story on Crescent cast iron cookware? I don't know a whole lot about them, but I can tell you a little bit. I still got that within arm's reach. Got a water bottle in the way. I can tell you a little bit about them. They were made by the Wagner Manufacturing Company of Cleveland, Ohio. Beyond that, there's also Ozark Crescent, which is made in St. Louis. But not a part you, the Crescent waffle irons, if that's what you're talking about. Yeah, they were made by, flip that over so you can see it a little better, by Foundry Manufacturing. And this is one I got at that big auction I went to that had all the cast irons. Got a high base. I'll reach over and grab that for you quick. And that's a big pile of waffle iron sitting next to me. And that's a high base one. They made the high bases a little bit later on once gas stoves started getting popular, because then you could set that over your burner and you'd have enough room underneath your waffle iron to just flip it over like that. Where with the low base ones, they were meant to sit over an open eye on a wood cook stove, and there's enough room down below where you can just flop your waffle iron over with ease. You can still use a low base waffle iron on an electric stove or a gas stove, but you gotta pick it up off the base kind of and flop it over like that and set it back down. It's a little more of a pain, but it's not terribly difficult. And if you watch my new video once I get it put up, you'll see that sort of thing in action. Cat's behaving tonight? Yeah, she's wandering around. Looks like she's about to jump up here again pretty soon. But yeah, there's the Crescent waffle irons, but like I said, there's also Ozark Crescent or Crescent Ozark. Yeah, there she is back up here. Crescent Ozark, and they were made in St. Louis. And I've got, I think I've got one thing of theirs. I've got a Dutch oven, but I don't have that handy. You have a number 9 Crescent waffle iron, really cool looking. Yeah, they're pretty cool waffle iron. That one's a number 8. You love waffle makers? Got the Griswold Heart and Stars high base for $3.45. They ain't a bad price on them. There was 2 sizes of the Heart and Stars ones. There's a number 18, which is about the equivalent of a number 8, and they're not common, but they're more common and less expensive. They usually go for around $4 or $5, maybe up to $600 sometimes. But the number 19s are really scarce. I've seen those sell for over $1,000. So $3.45, whichever size it is fairly decent price for one, especially the high base. You're here for the Kitty and Kronk. Well, Kitty is sitting down on my knee, just barely below the camera. And hopefully she'll sit there and behave herself. But I'm sure that won't last terribly long. Let's see. Rocket Caver, he's in and out all night, still working on her telescope. Cool. I like telescopes. I got an old one up in the attic somewhere, which I've played with a few times, but should dig it out again. Then again, like I say, it hasn't quit raining around here, and I'm usually working at night, so it kind of cuts into your stargazing time when you're working inside a building. Sorry you're late picking blackberries. Yeah, it's going to be another probably about 2 or 3 weeks at least before blackberries are ready around here. They're starting to, they're growing out good, but they're still green. They're nowhere near ready. Picked up an unmarked, gate marked number 12 Dutch oven. You're trying to date it. No heat ring and a flat top bale ears. Flat bottom, 11 inch in diameter. Usually the gate marked with the flat topped bale ears. If it has kind of a curved part underneath of them, is usually mid 1800s. Early mid 1800s, like 1840 to 1860 or so. Off the top of my head, if flat bottom, so you can't go by the shape of the legs. Whether they're round or if they're triangular or D-shaped. That kind of helps to get them in there. But usually, from about 1875, 1880, they started going more with the cow horn style. But off the top of my head, I'd say, 1850, give or take, 10 years. Although there's quite a bit of overlap too. Some of the styles some makers hung on to them longer than others. So, yeah, mid 1800s is probably pretty good guess anyway. Cat heard me talking about her. Yeah, she's a her. That's Minnie. Got an old cast iron microscope because it popped up on your save search. Didn't know there was such a thing. Yeah, I'd never heard of one either. Most of the antique ones I've ever seen, they might have a cast iron base, but they're usually a brass tube. 1890s when it started phasing it off, it was told, right? The gate mark in general, yeah. But you can usually get a rough idea of the datum by the shape of the bale ears, and if it has feet on it, the shape of the feet. With the gate mark, by about 1890 for most of your skillets, they had pretty much gotten away from it. A few of the smaller, hometown manufacturers hung on to the gate mark on the bottom of a skillet for a bit longer up in the early 1900s. But for a few things, especially bigger pots, bigger, the cauldron type pots, and some of the Dutch ovens even, they held on a bit longer. I just pasted different types of ears on the Facebook page. Okay, cool. Yeah, one of the reference books I have is Early American Cast Iron, and I got it as a set with the blue book and the red book, and that one. It was a 3-book deal, so it was cheaper to get all three than get all three of them separately. I haven't seen that deal on for a while on Amazon, but worked out pretty good. And they cover a lot of the really old cast iron, pretty much pre-1900 stuff. It's not something you are going to need a whole lot, but still pretty handy. Some of the things they have in there, goes back to the 1600s, which is pretty neat. I'm going to climb up here now. And get up here. There. Now settle down, behave, and be nice for a bit. I have the red, gray. I have the blue, red, gray, and purple. Okay. Yeah, the early American cast iron one was gray. I don't know if that's the same one you're talking about. I'm surprised there's no heat ring on it. Heat rings kind of came in the later part of the 1800s because that's when wood cook stoves started getting more popular, and the heat rings started coming in 1860s, 1870s, more like that. Before that, people were mostly cooking either on a fireplace hearth or an open fire or something of that sort. So you didn't really need the heat ring. Part of the reason for the heat ring was to make it sit flat when you still had the gate mark on the bottom, because the gate marks were kind of a pain to get rid of and do a decent job of it. And it's a lot easier to put a heat ring on there and raise it up a little bit and just get that entirely clear of the stove. That, and when you had, when you would open an eye and put it right over the fire, it would help seal it up a little bit. Gonna post pics on the Facebook page that'll make you sad. Well, we can use a little sadness now and then. You wouldn't know you're happy if you weren't sad every once in a while. I've been finding a lot of cast iron on the Goodwill websites. Yeah, they do have quite a bit on there. You got to kind of keep an eye on the shipping, depending on where you live. Sometimes the shipping can make it, end up costing you more than it's really worth. But you do see quite a lot of interesting stuff on there. I got a bid on a Hunter 12-inch for $9.99 as it stands right now. Cool. Hopefully you'll get that. Let's see here. Crescent waffle irons are going for more than Griswolds. Yeah, they're a bit more scarce than Griswolds, and they seem to be getting a little more attention. The Griswolds usually, Griswold with the base, generally you're looking at about 150, and a lot of the Crescents I've seen have been going for a bit more than that anyway. Gate mark 11 Spider, super old and broken in half. Bad shipping. Oh, that's a crying shame. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people they just don't understand that cast iron isn't indestructible. You have to pack it decent, at the very least, so it doesn't bang around inside of the box. Did you give the kitty some Xanax? No, she's actually behaving for the moment anyway. I'm sure she'll wake up and attack in about 10 minutes. You have a local here, you can just bid and pick it up. That's good. Yeah, I mean, sometimes if you can get something fairly local where it's close enough that you can pick it up, you can save quite a bit on shipping because most of them use FedEx, and FedEx, we kind of mentioned before, can be really screwy on their shipping rates. For me in Wisconsin, it costs more to ship something, considerably more to ship something from Oregon than it does from Florida, and it's about the same distance. I mean, it'll cost more for me to get something from Michigan than it will from Georgia. I think they kind of base it on their main trunk routes and how far off of one of those you are. But yeah, it's weird the way they price their shipping. Oh, you found good health to add to the long life skillet for the nurse expecting twins. Ah, cool. Yeah, you'd mentioned you're going to try and find a good health and long life for a pair of them to give to a gal who's having twins. That'd be a pretty neat present, I think. If I ever know anybody having twins, I'll have to try and do the same for them. Just posted the pics on the Facebook page and we're not happy. Yeah, I wouldn't be either. I did have got a real good price on a Griswold cornstick pan, and they just did a shitty job of packing it, and it came with a nice big chunk broke out of it. Still got the pieces. Maybe I'll get around to fixing that one of these days. Got lucky this week and found a BSR 7S skillet for $15. That's a hell of a good price on it. Didn't realize until we picked it up what it was. Yeah, it's always fun when you get something like that when you can't really, sometimes you can, deliberately take a chance. You got an idea of what it is, but you're never really exactly sure. And sometimes just get lucky, buy what looks like a decent looking pan because it looks like a decent pan. It turns out to be something really, really something. Need the 5S now. It's weird. Louis ships me pretty cheap, and me shipping his way is higher. Yeah, it's there's no real obvious rhyme or reason to it. Like I said, I'm guessing they kind of base it on, a few major trunk routes that they have and a few major, hubs that they ship into and out of. And you just got to kind of take your chances from there. Yeah, we got a badly shipped item. Yeah, Goodwill is usually pretty good about refunding stuff that gets broken in shipping, but, I'd rather have what I bought in the first place because that's why I bought the damn thing. The dry fry is an awesome griddle. Is that the same sort of thing as a, fat-free or greaseless Wagner fryer? If you haven't seen one, the Wagner fat-free, originally they called them greaseless fryers for the first few years, and they switched over to fat-free. It's basically a round griddle with a gutter around the outside edge, and the idea being, if you're frying bacon or something, the extra grease would run off and you wouldn't be frying it right in the grease. You'd just have the bare minimum. Like it, but a rectangle. Okay. Oh, it's a long rectangle. It's a long griddle by BSR. Yeah. See, I haven't seen one, or if I had, it didn't know what it was. But yeah, it's basically a griddle with a gutter around the outside. But yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I'm pretty sure I haven't seen one, or if I did, it's been long enough ago that I've forgotten about seeing it. Maybe I'll come across one of them days. Have you ever used one of the Mongolian dome style broilers? No, I haven't, but I have been looking at them lately. Some of them, look pretty cheap and pretty rough and nasty. But I've seen a few of them that look like they were, pretty decently made, and they ended up going fairly high. 40, $50, I think, is what the last one I was looking at was. And yeah, I thought about getting one because they'd something like that would work pretty good on the wood stove, I think. Your fat-free griddle is nice. Yeah, I like it. I mean, I've used mine quite a few times. Like I said, it's a Wagner fat-free fryer, and they work good. I think they made the dry fries in the 50s. Yeah, okay, sounds about right. The Wagner greaseless and the fat-free ones, I think they started in the mid 30s with the greaseless fryer, and they went a couple years with that, and then they went to the fat-free. But I think they made those right up into the 70s, all the way through up until then. Got the hiccups for some reason. Disturbed the cat in the process. Sold for about 165. That's pretty good price for a griddle. Yours is 15. Yeah. Well, as long as you got a good price on it. I was thinking it worked great on a wood stove or lodge round kickoff grill. Yeah, I was thinking it worked pretty good on the wood stove too. Yeah, there's 3 versions of fat-free fryer. Yeah, I think the older ones had a rounded handle, more like a regular skillet, and I think, I'm not positive, once you got up into the 60s or 70s, they switched over to the squared off handles, like they have more on the chef skillets and the square skillets, I think. What was that holy pan again, and what was it used for? I'm pretty sure that was meant to be a wall clock with the hole in it, but it's missing the clock movement out of it. Not sure who made it or when. Yeah, I'm guessing it was probably oldish. It could be anywhere from the 20s to the 50s, maybe even in the 60s, but I don't think it'd be much newer than that. But that's just a guess. Homework for you: got to find out what a greaseless and a fat-free fryer are. I got one hanging on the wall there. Don't know if I want to disturb the cat though and get her all wound up. Let's see. You gonna wake up and attack, or are you gonna be nice? Give me a second here, and I'll grab mine. Get this out of the way while I'm at it. Wander off camera. Get over to where a little dust on that. It's been hanging there a while. Slide the chair up. You're going to stay nice or you're going to attack now that you're awake. Anyway, that is a fat-free fryer. See, it's kind of a shallow skillet grill, but it's got a gutter around the outside. And you cook on the, the cooking surface there, and it'll, the extra grease will run off into the little side gutter. And this one, if I remember right, was from the 40s. Let me see. My glasses on, read the fine print. Patent applied for. Fat-free fryer, 1102A. And this one does have the squared off, chef skillet and square skillet styled handle. I know they changed the handle over the years, but not exactly positive about the when. Now they look at this one a little closer. But yeah, that's a fat-free fryer. Like I said, the first couple of years when they first came out, they called them greaseless fryers, and then they have you seen others like that Holy Pan before? No, I don't think I've seen an actual skillet with that kind of dimpling on it. You put a mirror in the Holy Pan and stare at it and ask who has a Paris collection of them all. Yeah, you could use it for a mirror or picture frame too. But like I say, I'm fairly certain that it was. I think the fryer with the patent number was first. Yeah, I know the greaseless fryers were first, but I don't remember if they had patent applied for or a patent number right offhand. Did the smokeless pan come first or the fat-free? The smokeless, most of the smokeless pans, those were kind of a 1800s thing, late 1800s from about 1880 up until the early 1900s. So, the smokeless ones would have came first. It is a little bit similar to that, that odorless skillet I have. But yeah, that's your fat-free fryer. Yeah, I'd have to double check and look into it again and see what the progression was with the handles on them. But I'm pretty sure this one was from probably the 40s. Like I said, I have to double check. I restored one that the guy said he used the fat free for biscuits, and I never understood why he did that. That's a cool pan. I saw a Griswold and a Wagner square fryer at the pawn shop for $150. Left it. Yeah, it's a bit much for a Wagner square skillet. Usually you can get those for $40-50. The Griswold square skillets go for a good bit more. For a Griswold, $150 is about what you expect to pay for it. Another dust collector here. Yeah. Your fat free has a rounded handle. Yeah, I'm not, like I said, now that I look at this one, I'm not exactly sure what the progression was, but yeah, there were some with the rounded handles. Maybe those were the later ones. I thought those were first, and then the squared off handles. But yeah, I'd have to double check and see exactly. Love Wagner's best. Yeah, I like Wagner's. I got quite a few different Wagner ones. Your dust balls are as big as tumbleweeds. Yeah. When I still had my dogs, when that Mastiff would start shedding, I'd wake up in the morning and there'd be just a drift of dog hair. Even if I'd vacuumed the day before, he'd come in and within a day or two, he'd shed enough hair to knit myself an entirely new dog. Oh, it was a double marked Griswold and Wagner for 150. Yeah, that's way high for those. You know, those are made after the two merged in the 60s, and they usually don't sell for anywhere near that much because you know, the quality definitely dropped off on both of them, and there's not a huge amount of interest in them, even though they got both logos on them. You know, 150 is pretty steep for something like that usually. %90 of the dust in the house is skin dander. Yeah, quite a bit of it is. Of course, in an old house like this, it's God only knows what really over the years. But you live in an old house, you're going to have dust no matter what you do. I mean, you could vacuum and dust 3 times a day, and within a couple of days, every bit of it will be back. Huskies and German Shepherds are just as bad with hair. Yeah, they're Huskies especially when they shed out. I guess I'm one of the few that like Wagwald. Some of it's pretty decent, but you know, a lot of it, you know, they definitely started going downhill. Something. Start bathing with the towel then. Yeah, stop half bathing. Let's see here. What else? Yeah, like I said, got that video all filmed. Still got to edit it, and like I said, I'm hoping to have it up by this weekend. Yeah, I got to work tonight, and I'll probably be kind of shot in the morning. Love the square handle with the thumb rest, fat-free fryer, and have it written down as the 40s. Yeah, like I said, I'm pretty sure this one was, you know, from the 40s, so I think the rounded handles were later on, but because they made them up into the 70s. But yeah, I would have to double check for sure. I have a number 12 Wagner camp oven made with an Erie pattern, has an Erie ghost mark under the lid. Huh. That's pretty interesting. You know, I can see where, you know, Griswold, but patterns going all the way back to Erie that wound up with Wagner. Because for the most part, you know, for the most of the skillets you see that were, if you see something that has a Griswold logo and says "Made in USA," those are actually made in the Wagner plant, and they had most of the Griswold skillet patterns were pretty well shot by then. And when they bought them out, you know, there's a few of them that they brought over to the Wagner factory, but most of them they had to recreate the Griswold logo, and the font on the logo is a bit wonky. I mean, they don't look quite right. But when you see, you know, Griswold that says "Made in USA," and you know, usually have the size, you know, like, you know, 10.5-inch skillet on there too. Those are all made by the Wagner factory. There's a few of the Griswold patterns that they kept using, like for the number 14s. No, don't start. For the number 14s, especially, they use the original Griswold patterns, but they took the Erie PA off of them, and they took the Griswold catalog number off. Here's an exact copy of the Erie first owned Griswold. Has a larger lid and a crazy bent bail. Pain to get the bail to work without rubbing the lid. Huh. Picked up a National Stamp Steel skillet. Figured you can put it in your cast iron, in with your cast iron 7, 8, and 9 National skillets. Yeah, you could. And might do that. I can't remember if I had that in the live bath or I just pulled it out. I got a just picked up a number 7 National. You're gonna start. Yeah, you're gonna start, ain't you? Listen, I respect and admire your dedication to violence, but I don't have time for it right now. So down you go. Yeah, I picked up the number 7 National Wagner, the dual logo one. And I think I just got it cleaned. I'm probably sitting over here behind me, but I ain't going to pick it up because, yeah, you're getting all fired up now, ain't you? You're just a violent little thing, ain't you? Don't start. Oh, down you go. You're going to jump up and down and attack and get put back on the floor and attack again for a while, I'm sure. I have an African gray, and her dander is bad too. Yeah, birds really tend to be dusty critters. You know, if you go out in a old chicken coop somewhere, you'll definitely see that. Must be a bird thing. Yeah, like I said, they're definitely dusty beasties. Them birds are. Set that aside. Yeah, see now if you're nice, you get petted nice. If you attack, you get put down on the floor. You should be starting to figure that out by now. Silly cat. Cynthia lies for fun. Ask Rick D's. All your iron is covered in clear boxes. I don't neglect your babies. Yeah. Yeah, that one had a little bit of dust on it, but I'll have to use that again pretty soon as long as I got it down. Yeah, I try to make a point of slowly rotating through the stuff I got cleaned up and usable. Yeah, you come up here and be a nice cat now. Yeah, start biting and purring. Silly cat. You need a spray bottle. Cats hate them. Might have to get one. I got one full of oil, but I don't think you need to be oiled. Maybe just a little water. Does Cynthia really cover her irons golf clubs? Didn't know she's a golfer. Need to teach her the word no. She's been taught, but she just hasn't learned yet. Anyway, let's see here. Cynthia arranges the retired people. Orange. What do you have? Plenty of in Florida. Oranges and retired people. Yeah, it's hard rotating. Yeah, I mean, you just gotta. I don't cook as much at home now as I used to either because I work nights and I don't usually eat after I get home in the morning. So it's kind of slowed down the rotation too. But like I say, you work through them, and it really does help a lot to keep them in shape if you use them at least once in a while. Picked up 2 14-inch pans, one Lodge and one BSR Century for $30 each. Cleaned up real nice. What would you put on those? I kind of see the prices all over the place with the the 14-inch Lodges and BSRs. I see them sell anywhere from 50 to 125. So it's really kind of hard to guess. Hard to guess sometimes. You don't shoot fish and you're scared of snakes. Well, Louisiana is probably the worst place to live if you're afraid of snakes. What value would you put on these? Yeah, like I say, it's uh it's tough to guess. I mean, usually if you can find them for sale for $75, it's a fair price. But I've seen them sell for a lot more and a little bit less. So yeah, it's tough to hard to say sometimes. Usually it's something that big, you're looking at well over $100. But like I say, they're really all over the place. Picked up a number 7 Griswold round roaster lid. Don't have the roaster, but it fits your BSR. Well, that's good. Number 7, it's kind of an odd size for a Dutch oven too, so it's probably going to take you a while to find a bottom for it. A Modern Lodge 14, yeah, you can get the new ones for 60, $70 usually, but I assume they're vintage in the BSR Century series would be pretty much. Gotta back up here. I missed something, I think. Fits your BSR number 6 skillet. We round up snakes around here. We got a fair number of snakes around here, especially out in the woods here. But fortunately, we don't have a whole lot of poisonous snakes in Wisconsin. We got timber rattlers, but they're pretty scarce around here. They're usually down more towards the Mississippi and the bluff country. Once in a great while, you'll find them north of here, but they're pretty few and far between. And there's even rattlesnakes all the way up into Canada, so they're not entirely unheard of. But yeah, I've never seen any around here. Your daughter made violet jelly this year. Ah, cool. Yeah, I made that lilac jelly. They're really happy with the way that turned out. Saw an old-fashioned sieve at the thrift drop-off. What's a good price? A few bucks, $5, $10 maybe. If it's what I'm thinking of, kind of the steel enameled. I think I have one. If I know what you're talking about, it's got a flat bottom and kind of a slope side and 2 handles on it. So yeah, I guess $5, $10 probably be a pretty fair price. You have a lot of Western Diamondbacks around here. Yeah, like I said, we don't really have any. We have quite a few pine snakes. They get pretty big, and some people call them pine rattlers because their markings look a lot like a rattlesnake, and they have a habit they'll flick their tail against dried leaves or something and make a rattling noise like a rattlesnake. Steel, not enameled, has legs, slope sides, and pressed wooden. Oh, you mean like the cone shaped ones? They got a wooden masher and like a tripod kind of stand. And you got a wooden, kind of cone shaped masher thing. Yeah. Yeah, those you can usually get, about the same price, $10 or so is usually a pretty good price on those. Still can't find your number 6 Red Mountain, but when you do, we'll all find one. Yeah, it seems like you kind of, you find something you were looking for, and all of a sudden there's a 500,000 of the damn things floating around. even though it took you years to find that one, then they all come crawling out of the woodwork once you finally do. I also picked up an Erie skillet, 8-inch by 19-inch. Not sure what you mean by that. But Erie skillets in general, go for pretty good money. You're usually pretty much anything Erie is going to go, $100 or more, generally speaking. You need a 1920 to 24 Wagner number 5. I don't have any of those handy. Yeah, so true. Yeah, pretty much, there's a big demand for them, and they're fairly scarce. I mean, they're not rare or anything like that. You can find them easily enough, but there's also different series of Eries going back into the 1880s. So, once some of the different variations go even more. But yeah, generally anything Erie is going to be over 100. Mid kitty is slowed down. Your ace dog is hyper as can be still. Yeah, like I say, she's getting better with the wake up and attack thing, but every now and then she'll get just wound up tighter than hell. Anyhow, we've been at this for an hour, and I still gotta go to work tonight. So, would you be interested in some fixer-upper skillets that are cracked for welding practices and giveaways? Yeah, I can definitely use those. Drop me a line at themudbrooker@yahoo.com. The Mudbrooker is all one word. Then we can figure something out. But anyhow, yeah, do that, and we'll see what we can figure out for those. And then yeah, just about out of show, and hopefully I'll see you guys all next week. I'll try and get the video done by this weekend, get it posted up, and do a little premiere and see how that turns out. I'll see you guys next week. I don't have any conflicts, so I should definitely be here next week. In the meantime, hope you guys enjoyed the show, and I'll see you guys later. And